Some men don't need enemies to destroy them. They do it themselves, one careless sentence at a time. Not with fists, not with fire, but with phrases that sound strong until you look a little closer. Phrases like, "That's just who I am," or "Real men don't talk about feelings." Words that seem tough on the outside but are soft, scared, and lazy on the inside. See, language isn't just sound, it's a signal. Your words don't just fill silence, they reveal the shape of your soul. The Stoics said it best, speech is the mirror of the mind. And if your mind is ruled by fear, ego, or apathy, don't be surprised when your life quietly starts to follow. This video is not here to coddle you. We're here to expose 6 dangerous phrases that weaken your discipline, rot your dignity, and quietly steal your self-respect. But more importantly, we'll break them down, one by one, and show you what a Stoic man would say instead. Because strength doesn't come from silence, it comes from precision. If you've ever said something and instantly regretted the weakness behind it, this one's gonna hit hard. But that sting? That's the start of your growth. Let's begin. Let's start with one of the most dangerous things a man can say. That's just how I am. It sounds strong. It sounds like conviction. But look deeper and you'll see something else. Surrender. Not surrender to wisdom or principle, but to stagnation. I once knew a man named Carl, retired Navy, sharp dresser, walked like he owned the room. But behind closed doors, he was emotionally frozen. When his wife asked for a connection, he shut down. When his son opened up about past wounds, Carl just muttered, "I'm not built like that." Over time, his family didn't leave in a storm. They left in silence. Not because they hated him, but because he refused to grow. Here's the truth. Saying, "That's just how I am," isn't strength. It's a life sentence in a cell you built yourself. Seneca said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." That's not a quote, it's a challenge. A real man doesn't cling to identity like armor. He sharpens it like a blade. He listens. He adapts. He evolves. Because discipline doesn't mean staying the same. It means choosing growth over pride. Every single day. So next time you hear that phrase, "come up, stop," ask yourself, am I standing stronger, standing still? You've heard it 1,000 times. Real men don't talk about feelings. And maybe you believed it. Maybe someone you respected said it first. Your father, a coach, a boss. So you learned to bury what hurt. You pushed it down and called it strength. But here's the truth. That's not strength. That's fear, pretending to be manhood. The American Psychological Association found that men who suppress emotion face higher risks of depression, heart disease, and even early death. So ask yourself, is silence really protecting you, or is it slowly killing you? Stoicism gets misunderstood here. People hear control your emotions and think it means deny them. But that's not Stoic. That's just avoidance in a better suit. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men in history, he didn't bottle it up. He wrote about his grief, his doubts, his pain, not to complain, but to understand. He faced his inner storms so they wouldn't control him in silence. A real man doesn't fear his feelings. He faces them, studies them, and responds with clarity, not chaos. Because what you don't name will rule you, and what you refuse to feel will find another way to hurt you and the people you love. So noticing about your emotions doesn't make you weak. It means you've finally decided to lead from within. Let's talk about a phrase that quietly rots a man from the inside out. It's not my fault. At first, it sounds like a defense. But dig deeper and it's something worse. It's surrender. Not surrender to truth, but to helplessness. When a man says, "It's not my fault," what he's really saying is, "I'm not in control." He's handing his power over to someone else, his past, his boss, his ex, his circumstances. But here's the brutal truth. No one is coming to fix it for you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our opinions about them." You might not control what happens to you, but you do control what happens next. That's where your strength lives, not in excuses, but in response. Look, I get it. Life hits hard. Maybe you didn't cause the problem. But the longer you cling to blame, the longer you stay stuck. So when something breaks, when someone wrongs you, when plans fall apart, catch that phrase before it escapes your mouth. Don't say, "It's not my fault." Say, "It's now my responsibility." That shift, that's where boys stay bitter, but men get better. Let's break down a phrase that sounds like confidence, but usually hides something weaker underneath. I deserve better. Sounds like self-respect, right? But most of the time, it's not. It's frustration. It's envy. It's resentment wearing a suit. Because here's the harsh truth. Most men who say, I deserve better, aren't doing anything to earn better. They're not showing up earlier. They're not working harder. They're not sharpening their craft, their character, or their discipline. They're just waiting for life to hand them something they haven't built. But life doesn't care what you think you're owed. It responds to effort, not entitlement. Marcus Aurelius said, don't waste time wondering what a good man should be. Be one. That's the Stoic response to entitlement. You don't wait to be recognized. You become undeniable. A man of character doesn't walk around demanding more. He walks through fire and earns more. He replaces complaints with quiet consistency. He doesn't ask, why haven't I gotten more? He asks, am I still sharpening? Because that's where the dignity lives, not in being handed something better, but in becoming something greater. So next time you feel that phrase bubbling up, pause. Don't just say you deserve better. Start becoming the man who earns it. Let's talk about a phrase that sounds responsible, but it's really a quiet form of retreat. That's not my job. You've probably heard either, maybe even said it. And at first, it sounds like boundaries, like balance. But if you listen closely, it's not strength. It's avoidance, disguised as maturity. I knew a man named Rye, 30 years on the factory line in Pittsburgh. Never missed a shift, always clocked in early. Hardworking? Absolutely. But at home, he lived by one rule. If it's not on my list, I don't touch it. Dishes? Not his job. His son's future? Not his job. His wife's emotional needs? Definitely not his job. And after 28 years, his wife quietly packed up and left. No yelling, no fight, just done. And Rye sat there, saying, but I did everything I was supposed to do. That's the trap. Men confuse reliability with purpose. They think showing up to a paycheck replaces showing up where it truly matters. Marcus Aurelius said, what is your vocation? To be a good man. Not a man who hides behind checklists, but a man who steps up, even when it's hard, even when it's invisible. Because Stoic strength isn't found in avoiding extra effort. It's found in owning more than what you're assigned. You've heard it 100 times. It is what it is. And at first it sounds wise, calm, even stoic. But if you look deeper, it's not strength. It's surrender, quiet, subtle, deadly. See, when a man starts saying it is what it is about everything, his job, his marriage, his health, it's often not acceptance. It's a sign he's stopped believing his choices make a difference. That's not stoicism. That's helplessness. It's learned numbness, dressed up to look like peace. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That's not permission to sit still. That's a direct order to act where you still can. Stoicism doesn't say, give up. It says, control what's yours and let the rest go. So ask yourself, when you say, it is what it is, are you showing composure? Or have you quietly checked out of your own life? Because here's the truth. The more you repeat that phrase without action, the less the world sees you. You become forgettable, replaceable, invisible. Don't let that happen. The Stoic man doesn't shrug and disappear. He faces reality and still moves with purpose. So next time you feel that phrase rise in your throat, pause, then ask, what can I still shape right now? Here's the truth most men ignore. Weak phrases don't just sound soft. Over time, they shape you. Say them enough, and they don't just slip into your speech. They settle into your identity. That's what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your words matter. Not just because others hear them, but because you do. You repeat a lie enough times, and you'll start to live like it's true. That's why Stoic men speak differently. Not to impress, not to sound smart, but because they understand every word is a mirror. It reflects your discipline, your mindset, your soul. A Stoic man doesn't fill the room with noise. He speaks with weight, with restraint, and when he's silent, it's not empty. It means something, because the enemy isn't weakness. The enemy is pretending you're not weak, when deep down, you know you've settled. So what now? You've heard the 6 phrases. You've seen how they chip away at the man you could be. Now it's your move. Choose your words like a man who's rebuilding his soul, not just his image. Because in the end, your language doesn't just describe your life, it directs it.